Hey everyone, it's SG Holyman, and welcome to my first retro video game review. This time I'm going to be reviewing the Japanese role-playing game from Squaresoft, Final Fantasy VII. So, like I said, this is my first retro game review. I thought it would be fun to do this, mainly because, I'm going to be honest, the last few months have been pretty slow. I didn't get Deus Ex, so I just thought it'd be fun to review an older game, and on top of that, one I have never played before. So, for those of you who are curious, yeah, this is my first time even playing the game. Uh, so before I get into the review, I think I should give a few little uh, tidbits of factoids about the game before I actually get into the review for those who don't know anything about the game, which, I mean, this game is a pretty big game. But uh, yeah, so the game came out January 31st, 1997, and as you would expect, it was a critical and commercial success, and it is widely regarded as the game that sold PlayStation. Uh, and it also helped popularize Japanese role playing games in the West. And Sony said that by the end of the year in 1997, the game had sold 1 million copies, and as of 2015, the game has sold around 11 million. So, yeah, the game was a big deal in 1997. As far as me, I don't really have a lot of memories of Final Fantasy VII. Around that time, I was 6, and my earliest memories of PlayStation 1 were my mom had a friend who owned one, and I remember playing Tekken 2 a lot. And my dad also owned a PlayStation 1, and I really just watched him play a lot of games, mainly Medieval, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and what else? Resident Evil 2. And those are really some of my earliest memories of PlayStation 1. I did not own one. I really started getting into gaming around PlayStation 2. And before that, we mainly had a SNES in the house, and I would occasionally play some games on there, mainly Super Mario World. But yeah, not a lot of. I don't really remember a lot about this game. I didn't hear about it till way later, and as soon as it came up on PS4, I just thought it would be a good uh, idea to go back and fill in a major gap in my backlog. So, yeah, that's enough about some of my memories about the game. I'll get right into the review, starting with story and aesthetics. So, the first thing I'll say is that, unfortunately, the graphics themselves do not hold up, especially on the character models. And I feel like that's a problem with a lot of those early polygonal games. We were just starting to learn how to use 3D, and unfortunately, a lot of those early PS1 and 64 games just don't really hold up. Uh, Also, the pre-rendered backgrounds, some of them still look pretty good. Some of them, however, also just did not hold up that well. With that out of the way, though, the game's overall aesthetic is pretty good. I like the dark, kind of dire world that they were building, and even though the graphics may be a little lacking, the overall aesthetic of the game still really shines. And you can also still tell, sorry, what they were going for with the character designs, and all the characters, and especially the uh, enemy designs, are really good. Uh, and sorry, as far as the overall story goes, I really liked it. There were a couple times when I kind of got lost with what they were doing, uh, mainly with Sephiroth and the whole cloning thing. I got a little lost there. Wasn't too bad, I really do love the game's opening, though. I love how you're just kind of thrown in and you don't really know who you are or what you're doing. And I just love how you're kind of doing this morally gray thing. And I don't know, it's just a really awesome opening. And uh, what else? Yeah, I think that's really all I had to say about the story. Oh, never mind. I like. Uh, I don't know. It was just really good. Uh, the also the characters were also really well written, and I think my favorite characters were Tifa and Red 13, and that's who I mained with also. But I'll get into that a little later. But uh, yeah, the story's pretty good. It's not the best story I've experienced in a game, but for what it is, I thought it was pretty solid. And I cannot uh, go on without talking about the music. The music in this game is fantastic. Uh, my favorite song in the whole game was Cosmo Canyon. I also really liked One Winged Angel, of course, because that song's so cool. But yeah, almost all of the music tracks really uh, make the game shine. And yeah, I think that's all I had for story and aesthetics. So next, I'll get into the gameplay. So the game uses an active time battle system. For those of you who don't know what that is, basically your character will take their turn and perform their action, and then after they're done, you'll see a meter fill up, and that character cannot do anything until that meter fills up, and then they can take their next action, and it just rotates between all three of your party members, and it goes for the same with your enemies, and it's a fine system, and it can be fun. This one is there's a little bit of tactics that go on, but it doesn't get too complicated. However, it's not my preferred battle system. I prefer more of a traditional system where everybody just kind of waits their turn and you just go through the menus and you can think tactically about what you're going to do next. Uh, but yeah, for I like the active time battle system in this one, especially since it adds to the sense of urgency that the story is kind of building towards. So it's really well implemented in this game. The game also uses a materia system, and that is how you deal with your magic and all your other stuff. And I like that it's made out of the life stream that you're trying to protect, from the planet and, the story stuff. I just like how the materia kind of just folds into the story. Uh, but it's a nice, interesting system. I like pairing it up. It can be deep, but it's not deep enough to where it can get overly complicated. And it's just really nice. Uh, Also, I really like the limit system. And again, this is for people who don't know what the limit system is. Basically, every time your characters take damage, a meter fills up, and then once that meter fills up all the way, they can perform a special move. And I don't know, it was just really cool. It was fun seeing everyone's different limits. However, it was a little vague to figure out how to do each one. Well, kind of vague. It's, I don't know, it was really just defeating enemies and using each limit a certain amount of times. But I don't know. Anyway, speaking of the vagueness, that kind of trickles out into the side quests. Uh, this game is open world. And speaking of that, I do like how once you leave Midgar for the first time and you just kind of see the big open world that's in front of you, it is kind of a cool little surprise. Uh, but I, speaking of the side quests and the main quests and all that, I don't like how they don't show you where they are. I prefer the systems where you can see the exclamation points and you can go to the exclamation points and You can just pick them up, and then you can go into a menu and just see where each one is and where they are on the map. Uh, that's what I prefer. Uh, and damn it, the I don't know. It kind of works for the game, and it kind of adds a reason to explore the kind of big open world. For 97, it was probably a huge open world, but in terms of today, it's not that big. So, and yeah, I don't know. But like I said, the side quests are very vague. Some people like it, some people don't. Uh, However, speaking of the side quests themselves, most of them are fairly short, uh, but they do add a lot of backstory to some of the well written characters. So that was pretty cool. And if you're wondering, I did not do all of them. I was just kind of getting through the game for the first time and just kind of experiencing the story, seeing what the game has to offer. So I didn't do any of the chocobo breeding or racing or anything like that. I did defeat Weapon to get Cloud's ultimate weapon, but I did not defeat Ruby or Emerald weapons. And I don't think I did Yuffie's second side quest where you have to go through the tower. I just did the first one where she steals your materia. Uh, but yeah, I I feel like I did a fair amount of the side quests, and I spent about 40 hours with the game. Uh, but I can see how you could put 90 plus hours into it. I feel like it could be fairly easy to do that. Uh, and I had something else. Oh, yeah. Uh, Outside of a few clever boss fights, I actually found the game to be fairly easy. And most of the times when I died, it was because I was just not prepared for what I was going into. Uh, so, I don't know. Like I said, the boss fights, some of them are challenging and satisfying when you beat them, but for the most part, the game itself is pretty easy. Anyway, that's how I feel about it. The game also has some mini games, and they all vary for me in quality. Some of them are better than others, but for the most part, they're all fun diversions and really can give you a break from the main game. But anyway, that's all I had for gameplay. So now I will get into my final thoughts. Final Fantasy VII is a great game. Yes, some things don't hold up all that well, but it still has a great story, still has some pretty good characters, and while not my preferred battle system, it's still pretty fun and fits in well with the game. Uh, and I would recommend going back to play it, not only because do I think the game, like I said, not only do I think the game still holds up for the most part, but it is a fairly important game, and I do think you should at least experience it once. Uh, Now, for where I think this fits into the franchise and JRPGs in general, I'm still kind of thinking about that. I forgot to mention this up top. Not only is this the first time I've played Final Fantasy VII, this is the first time I've ever played a Final Fantasy game. So I can't throw my hat into the ring about what is the best Final Fantasy game. And the consensus that I've kind of heard is that 6 is the better game, 7's the more important game. But I can't comment on that. So, uh, yeah. Sorry. But would I put this above some? This is probably one of the better JRPGs, though. Uh, I don't think it's for me because of nostalgia. I still think Pokemon Yellow would be above this, uh, but we'll see. Uh, I am kind of playing through Pokemon Yellow again, It's been a while though, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. Sorry, but uh, yeah, still a good game. Would recommend playing it if you haven't played it before. And yeah, that is all I had for this video. So thank you guys for watching. If you liked what you've seen, you can go ahead and like this video, share it with your friends. This always happens with Share Factory. Once a video. God damn it. Anyway, like you're seeing, I think I was unsubscribed. Yeah, subscribe to my channel for more video game reviews and other gaming related stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.